guys, it's Shanice. So this is just going to be a really quick video on college tips and a little bit of advice, mainly for freshmen, because I know it's the last couple of weeks of August and you guys are just starting out. Some of you maybe a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to go over little things from my perspective, and hopefully this will be a little bit helpful. My first advice for you, if you are a commuter, I would suggest that you use Facebook to your advantage wholeheartedly. I mean, talk to people, start a Facebook group, like the college's page, start talking to people, start friending people, start having conversations with other commuters, and try to sort of see who you have classes with, who you don't have classes with, who you can see on your breaks and things like that, because it's really just a great idea to sort of socialize with other people, get to know them, so that when you are on campus, you know you have friends you can talk to, you have people in your class you can talk to, and it's not really that difficult for you to actually be with someone. It's a lot harder in college because when you meet these people, you have to try and force to keep yourself in contact, because they might not see you next semester, they might not see you the next year. You have completely different majors, so use Facebook. And if you don't have Facebook, my suggestion would be to just go to a couple of social gatherings. At my college, we have a lot of commuter groups and things like that hold events for other commuters, so that people who do commute, they can talk to each other. So it's just an easier way for everybody to connect with one another because we're not dorming. Tip number 2 is textbooks. Textbooks is one of the main things you will spend your money on besides dorming and tuition. And the reason is that because colleges will do whatever it takes to just keep your money, take your money as much as they can, and this is your way of getting back at them, knowing how to shop for your textbooks. Trick number 1, talk to your professors beforehand. When you get your schedule, you're going to have some type of contact or email for each professor. Email them and ask them if you're even going to use the textbook for the whole entire year, because if you're not, it doesn't make sense for you to waste your time in buying the textbooks. My tip number 2 would be rent your textbooks during your freshman year. My reason is because if you haven't declared your major and you're taking like liberal arts courses, you're not going to need those textbooks the next semester. It doesn't make sense to buy brand new textbooks. You can either get them cheaper if they're used, or you can rent them and just send them back. That's completely up to you guys. Number 3 would be don't buy customized textbooks. And what I mean by customized textbooks is your college will go to the sort of manufacturer for that textbook. They will buy that textbook and just throw their name on it and charge you about $100 more than what the textbook is actually worth. So my suggestion is, if they tell you it's mandatory to buy this textbook, look up that name of the textbook for the same exact edition or the edition before that, because more than likely those 2 textbooks are exactly the same thing, and you really shouldn't just waste your money to get a customized textbook. Trick number 4 is to use all online resources. I mean, use Chegg.com, use Amazon, use Textbook.com, use eBay, and use Half.com, which is also a part of eBay. They are the biggest tools, and there's plenty more out there. Look all over the place for these textbooks before you even think of buying them, especially if you know your textbook regular price is about maybe $200. No one wants to spend over $500 on textbooks that they're not going to use for the rest of their lives. For my perspective, I just recently finished paying for my textbooks maybe 2 days ago, and 2 of my textbooks were over $200. I rented them for $50 and $40, so it doesn't really matter. It saved me a lot more money, and they are liberal arts courses. They have nothing to do with my major, so I have no problem just renting them and sending them back rather than paying $200 or more out of my pocket. Rule number 3, well, completely different from the textbooks, is knowing your professors. Usually in high school, of course, you had your teacher, not really professors, they were teachers, and you would find out the hard way whether or not they were hard graders, whether they gave homework, whether or not they checked their homework, whether their tests were hard, and it's just really difficult to find out which professor is good and which one is bad. So my suggestion would be to look at ratemyprofessors.com, and you can see people's opinions about the professors before you actually take the class. So check that site out and see if that's any help to you, because if you find that the professor is completely different like in the classroom, I would suggest you just either drop that class or actually switch professors but take the same class. On that note, my tip for professors would be to just pick ones that would sort of work for you. And remember that at the end of the day, they're getting paid, they're taking your money, they're getting checks, and you know, you should get what you're spending your money for. You should get a good professor that's actually worth your money instead of just wasting your time and feeling like your professor really just doesn't care about what they're teaching you. It's just really helpful. My tip number 4 would be to map out your schedule, and I mean to print out a sort of map of what your campus looks like. You really just don't want to get lost, especially if your campus is really huge. You don't want to go to the wrong building, you don't want to go to the wrong room. If you're dorming, you pretty much have like maybe a day or two to just get like a really good feel of the campus. Go to the buildings, find out where the room is. You don't want to be late, you don't want to give a bad impression, things like that. And if you're commuting, then I'm pretty sure on every website they'll give you like a virtual map or a virtual tour of what the campus looks like, or what building looks like what's next to which. And it's just really just a great idea. It saves you a lot of time than actually looking like a freshman because you don't know where to go. If you have that map, or even if you have it on your phone, you can just pretend like you know exactly where you're going and you end up in the right place. My tip number 5 would be, don't assume that your GPA is not important during your first year. I know a lot of people say that they're getting used to college, that it's a little bit difficult to adjust to it, but just because you're in college, you're free from your family, more than likely. If not, then I'm sorry. If you are on your campus or if you're commuting, it really doesn't matter. Make sure that you do focus on actually what you're doing in class, because the people that you're hanging out with or the people that you're dorming with, more than likely you may not see them next semester, you may not see them next year. So it's okay, I guess, to party, but don't assume that your GPA won't get affected, because you might be that person that might want to transfer the next year. You might transfer that next semester, and risking that for that one person who just wants to party and drink all night, let them fail. But other than that, just worry about yourself, worry about your GPA. Freshman year is the biggest thing for your GPA, because if you mess up that first year, you're pretty much done. It'll be extremely hard to sort of bring that up for the rest of your 4 years, or if you're going to community college, your 2 years. My last thing would be school supplies. I wouldn't suggest like doing the usual thing that you would do in high school, like stock up on notebooks, stock up on pencils and pens and paper and things like that, because more than likely, almost every college student will have a laptop or will have access to a laptop or some type of computer on their campus. So it doesn't make sense to actually waste paper and buy loose leaf or notebooks for that matter. I would suggest probably buying like something like this, like a 3-subject. I love Harajuku Lovers, so I went to Target and I bought my school supply. I'm just going to show you guys what I'm buying for my fall semester. I just pretty much bought this 3-subject notebook that I'm probably not even going to use halfway, honestly. Then I just bought a bunch of folders, 2 that would probably be for, I guess, interviews or any sort of college workshop and you want to be professional. I would suggest having 2 really good pocket folders that sort of look something like this. Just like your standard folder, but it's good for college. And then pretty much you can just do any type of thing else. Like, I'm taking a bunch of art classes and a bunch of business classes, so I'm pretty much just gonna have a lot of fun with it. I bought a Hello Kitty folder and just a bunch of Harajuku Lover folders. I love them, so I don't mind if I'm in college. I'm just gonna use whatever I want. And I bought mechanical pencils and mechanical pens. So that is all I bought for my first semester, and I paid for my textbooks already. So that's pretty much it. And my last bit of advice for you guys, especially freshmen, is take advantage of everything we have on campus. If you're nervous and you're not the type of person to approach others, then feel free to just go to a club or go to an organization and talk to the president. That person probably knows what you're feeling like, and they probably just want to help boost your confidence and make you feel comfortable colleges. They'll probably just help you to fit in and to sort of help you find where you belong at your college. And that is pretty much the end of this video. I'm sorry it is so long and it's probably boring you guys to death, but that is just my perspective from my freshman year of college. I'm not an expert, I don't know everything, and college is just different from every single person, every commuter, every person that's dorming. But I hope this video was helpful somewhat to anyone who watched this, and I will talk to you guys later.